You're listening to Cancer Convos with Brady and Stacy.
Hey there. Welcome to another edition of Cancer Convos, sponsored by Chelsea Smith Cosmetics and the Bismarck Cancer Center. I'm Bob Brady.
I'm Stacy Sturm, and
I'm Kristin Clouston.
I do like that new thing. That's a good thing. I like it. So we have our guests, like they're there, and I'm whoever.
well, see,
it is.
they know they have broadcasting world background, so it's easier than if we have just like Joe Schmo.
Is that the rule? They have to have broadcasting experience and cancer to be on your show?
Seems to be.
There's two qualifiers.
You
There are
must.
too many people that have been on our show in broadcasting that have had cancer. So yeah, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, it is tough.
So-
It's that you check all the boxes, Chris, and good for you. Yay!
Now
There's only
people are
two.
gonna start linking broadcasting and cancer. Awesome.
All the buildings we worked in, those old buildings, I'm sure there's some sort of cancer in there, whatever it's radio waves or asbestos or engineers putting weird stuff in the board. I'm sure it's all
Could be.
all that.
Engineer
Exactly.
Dave.
Yes.
It wouldn't shock me if Engineer Dave gave us all cancer.
That
We were
son of a
terrible to
bitch.
him.
Yes. Pay your parking tickets. Anyway,
Oh, God.
Kristin has a story and she wants to tell it.
Yeah, so of course, she does check all the boxes for being on the show, being in the industry, and having cancer. So we're going to let her share. She is also a survivor. So once again, a happy story
Right.
that we are being able to share with people to give them hope that you can be cancer free for a long time too. So she's going to share her story with us. So first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Kristin?
Okay. I really don't know what you want to know about me. So I live in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I was diagnosed with cancer I was a week past my 46th birthday. So pretty young to be diagnosed. And a little bit about me, I guess I've always been a pretty active person,
Mhm.
you know, go-getter, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I just started getting really, really tired. And I just figured, you know what, it was life. You know,
Yeah,
my mom was sick at
right.
the time. My mom actually had cancer at the same time I did, and she was in the process of passing away. So I'm like, oh, it's just stress, taking care of mom, whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'd gotten to the point where I'd go home for lunch, but I wouldn't eat lunch. I would nap.
Yeah.
You know, you're just taking a nap every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I think just feeling crappy all the time just kind of becomes your new normal, and you don't realize how crappy you feel because
You think you're stressed, you're old, you're tired, you're it kind of sneaks up on you.
it does.
That's the thing about cancer is it's not like all of a sudden one day you wake up and you feel absolutely terrible. Like it's a slow decline.
right. It's
Yeah.
little by little.
Mhm.
And so I guess, you know, my first piece of advice, am I allowed to give advice? while I'm
Yes,
here?
you are.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
This is not a medical advice. It's just
It is not
personal
medical
advice from
It's-
us.
It's called,
we do it. Yeah.
It's called, yes, no medical advice. We are not medical professionals.
Yes.
But my advice to human beings from another human being would be listen to your body,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not normal to be that tired all the time.
Yeah. And no matter how stressed out or how busy you are, you should not feel the way you feel right before you get
Right.
diagnosed with cancer.
And I mean, I got to the point, our friend is a hairdresser, and I was going in once a week to have her wash and dry my hair and style it. Like, I'm not 80. I don't need to have my hair washed and set every week.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought you were just enjoying the luxury.
Well, I am a little bouge, that's for
She's a little
sure. I am a little
bougie.
bouge.
So it was that extreme, like you went from being like normal Kristin, whatever that is, to just
Awesome.
yeah, you know what I mean?
there-
Like
she would do Broadway dances in the street.
did.
You know what
I
mean?
actually have a whole-
She's vaudeville. She's got a whole
I
vaudeville act.
I do.
and then you were just so tired, like you just couldn't.
Yeah. And I was
Wow.
just like, what the heck? So as it progressed, so you know, the holidays rolled in, whatever, and we all tend to eat a lot crappier during the
Mhm.
holidays. And this was pre-COVID, so you know, there was a lot more social things going on
Yes.
back in those days. So I was partaking in the alcohol more than I typically do too. And you know, so it rolls from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas
Mhm.
to Frisco, And, that's the holidays. And I was very constipated and trying everything under the sun, like prescription
Yeah.
laxatives. I remember I got some from my mom and nothing worked. I could not poop. Can I say poop?
You can say poop.
Okay.
We've actually talked about how important it is to have a poop plan in
Okay,
place
good.
with one of our former guests. Like if you're
Yeah.
traveling and you have bowel issues, you should always have a poop plan in place.
Yeah. So, I mean, I couldn't poop to save my life. And it had actually gotten to the point where I had to go out of town for a conference, and I was in Miami. Nothing worked. I went and got a colonic. Nothing came out. Went back the next day, got another colonic. Again, nothing came out. Third day, go to get a colonic. Nothing comes out. So
you had to be feeling so miserable.
It was awful. And she's like, you need to go to urgent care.
Yeah.
So instead of going to an actual hospital, like a normal person would, I just went to one of those corner urgent care places. And I'm thinking the doctor that I saw, well, someone's got to graduate at the bottom of their class, right? There's always that guy. And I'm pretty sure that's the guy that I got.
Oh.
So this is in Miami.
Are you sure he was even a doctor?
I don't know.
Just some side surgeon. Have you been to the doctor? So when you felt the constipation and all the tiredness, did you go to the doctor at all? You just took mom's prescriptions and just didn't think about it?
I just took my mom's prescriptions.
Okay.
And so I finally go to the doctor in Miami. It was like a chain urgent care place. Because, I didn't want to go to an actual hospital like a sane person would. And he took an x-ray, not an MRI or blood work or anything like that.
Right, or an ultrasound or anything like that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're just really constipated. So I'm going to write you a prescription for laxatives.
Yeah.
So from there, I have to go to another conference in Minneapolis. So I'm there, and it gets to the point where it's too painful for me to sit. And I'm like sitting on my heel, like kind of like bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
And I remember I was supposed to ride back to Bismarck with my coworkers, and I was in so much pain that I couldn't sit in a car for the 6.5 hours it takes to drive back from Minneapolis to Bismarck, North Dakota. So I flew home, cashed in my miles.
You didn't go to the ER.
I did not.
Doctor.
So what is
just took a flight instead.
So compared to our last guest who said get to the doctor as soon as you can.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be Kristin. What is the timeline between, hey, I'm tired, now I'm on my second conference in Minneapolis? What's your timeline? How long is this?
A couple months, I'd say.
Okay. All right, go on.
Would say Christmas, Thanksgiving-ish too. So this is in February.
Okay.
So because I was in Minneapolis, it was my birthday, February 7th. If anyone has their calendars out, it's coming up.
It's coming up.
And I was diagnosed. I finally went to the doctor. I went to see my nurse practitioner.
Right.
She sent me to see a cancer specialist. Finally diagnosed on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yay, like the day's not great.
Yeah, rectal cancer. And the reason I couldn't poop was because I had a tumor the size of a sweet potato in my rectum.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess again, listen to your body. Don't be like Kristin.
Quit explaining things away. I feel like that's what we do.
Yeah.
We explain things away. When another symptom pops up, we're like, oh, it's probably because of this. And then another symptom pops up and it's like, oh, probably because of this.
Were you a person that didn't like going to the doctor, or you just at this like you didn't think about it?
I think I just didn't really think about it.
Okay.
Like I have no problem with doctors,
Yeah.
if they're actual medical professionals, which again, I question that guy in Miami.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny though, because I did learn from it, because when Stacy had cancer and didn't know it yet, and she was getting so skinny and had no advice, I was on her butt.
She did. Yeah.
You need to go to the doctor. You need to go to the doctor. She's like, they can't get me in, for another 2 months or whatever. And I'm like, make it happen, Stace.
Yeah.
So I have learned from my ways.
Yes.
because there are
Each
the people
other's.
there are people that just don't go to, like my dad who's 78 years old will not
Mhm.
go to the doctor. My mom had to drag him to an eye doctor appointment yesterday. He can't see 6 feet in front of him, but I'll be fine. And I think that just to get speed, because like Stacey said, you excuse it away, like, oh, I'll be fine,
Mhm.
give it 3 days, my wrist will be great. No, you've
I'm
broken your
tired.
wrist.
I'm just
Yeah,
stressed. I'm just
whatever it
tired.
is. Yeah.
And I knew that I was really bad when Kristen came into the bar when I was working one weekend, and I could see it in her eyes. She was like, "You are not good." And I didn't see the decline. I knew I was losing weight and I knew I was tired. I wasn't feeling good and all that. But I didn't see, because you see yourself every day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so you don't all of a sudden, I saw myself finally like she was seeing me. And that really kind of worried me because I could see it in her face that she was like, "You are not good. This is not good. You don't look good." And she's like, "Your color is not even good. You need to go get into the doctor." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So I did. I really pushed and I finally got in. Yeah, it's crazy.
So back to Kristen on
Yeah.
the rectum thing. Sweet potato size tumor.
Mhm.
What's next?
So I see a doctor in Bismarck and they have this huge plan. They want to do chemo, radiation, surgery, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted a second opinion. So I went to Mayo, and thank God that I did, because the doctor that I saw there said, I would not let anyone do surgery on you. Don't let anyone cut you. He goes, because of the size and location of your tumor, I'm the best in the world, and I don't think I could put you back together.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay then, no cutting. So he
Gotcha.
Did he have like a championship belt in his office, like I'm the best in the world? Like, how does he know that? The number one dad? Like, how do you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I did believe I
Of
trusted
course.
his confidence,
Yeah. Yeah. Awfully
May-
confident, cocky
There
doctor.
are
Yeah,
actually
and I
there's like
mean-
awards for doctors
I'm
because
sure
like,
there are.
Sure there
because I
are.
my cancer doctor was the best in the world for women's gynecological cancers.
Yeah.
So he literally had been awarded from whatever medical foundation the award for best in the world for women's.
Does he have a T-shirt
gyne-
that says number one in the world?
He did.
No?
He did have a plaque on his wall.
I'm sure
He
he
had a
did.
plaque on his wall. Yeah.
That should have been Kristen's first
probably-
sign
Like world's best surgeon.
I-
of
and
the
then,
guy
like,
in
eye-
Miami.
I would probably get a wrap on my car if I won an award like that.
Best in the world at
best person for
gynecological
your
cancers. Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm the best person for your vajayjay. That's me.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So your doctor was like, "No, we're not cutting into you."
Right.
Wow.
And he said, I would prefer that you did your treatments here. You can do them in Bismarck, if you feel that you absolutely have to and you need to be home, but I would prefer you did them here. But either way, you need to start immediately.
Wow.
And so the plan was, I got really lucky because we thought I was going to have a colostomy, which I never needed,
Mhm.
thank God. Side note, my sister has Crohn's and she has a colostomy, and my mom was kind of excited about it because she thought my sister and I could have a comedy show on the road and call ourselves the Bag Sisters.
Oh my
So
God.
like my mom was all in on me getting a colostomy.
This is
but,
get it. Go get it.
you go girls, but sorry to let her down. The
Yeah.
Bag Sisters never happened because
Shoot.
I was able to keep my colon.
Oh.
Yeah, so anyway, the plan was to try radiation and chemo first, shrink it down, hopefully get rid of it that way, and then if we have to do surgery. And
Yeah.
I was very lucky I didn't have to do surgery. They were able to get it all with radiation and chemotherapy. So
Wow. How long did that
Yes.
take?
Did 28 rounds of radiation, and I did 2 rounds of chemo.
Wow.
Yeah. So took care of it. I mean, it didn't, obviously it took a couple months to die out
Yeah.
after that. But I think again, not medical advice to other human beings, especially with rectal cancer. My rectal cancer was a little different because it was actually from a birth defect. One
Oh,
thing
wow.
I didn't, yeah. So one thing I didn't
Hmm.
realize, when you're forming in your mother's womb, the body starts in your ass and you grow up from there.
What?
You're a real asshole.
That's what the doctor said.
Everyone's born.
And
an
apparently I had cells that should have moved on to other parts of my body that never went.
Oh.
No kidding.
So I'd always had like these weird cells in my body.
Yeah.
And I probably had cancer, judging from the size of that tumor. I probably had
Yeah.
cancer for a very long time and just didn't know it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if I were to give anyone, human being to human being, advice, get a colonoscopy. You know, at the time, right after I was diagnosed, they lowered the age from 50 to 45.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just a year past 45, especially, you know, and that used to be like, people would think, oh, it's an old man's disease.
Yep.
Well, I was a 45-year-old woman, and I've met like and known personally so many women that have been diagnosed with colorectal cancer since my diagnosis. Some of them unfortunately have passed, younger than me even. And, you know, there's so many guys that are like, oh, I don't want anything going up my butt. You know, getting the camera.
When they say that, you automatically know that there's a little
And
something going on with
right?
them.
I think
They're not defensive about it.
Right, but
Yeah.
you know what? Would you rather have a camera going up your butt like every couple years?
Right?
Or, because guess
Or
what?
dying of cancer.
Or when you have rectal cancer, guess what? They're rooting up in there all the
A lot,
time. They're
yeah.
always up there poking around, checking
What's
things
going
out.
on up here?
And guess the best way to check it? It's with their finger. It's called a
Yeah.
digital exam.
Yeah.
I think they've kind of changed that too in the last couple years. It's more blood work now too, so it's not
Yeah.
as invasive. But still,
And honestly, I mean, they give
Get
you
it done.
drugs. You don't remember.
It's not like you remember the procedure. You wake up and you're like, oh, glad this is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, you have to drink, you know, a bunch of gross stuff before a colonoscopy. Well, guess what? Again, you know what's worse?
Getting chemicals pumped in your body through chemo.
Yeah.
radiation.
Yes,
Dude.
and I think one thing that a lot of people don't talk about, and I was dealing with it just this morning before I came over here, is the after effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about
You
that a lot on
know?
our show. Like I think when you become cancer free, people automatically just assume you're fine.
Yeah, and guess what? You're not.
No, you're not.
For instance, if you have 28 rounds of radiation on your rectum, it's not as tight as it used to be, and it doesn't hold in things like it used to.
Yeah.
rectum damn near killed him.
Yeah. So yeah.
God.
So, I mean, you can literally poop your pants.
Yes.
Whenever, and I would take pooping my pants.
Yeah, you're still alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
any day over the alternative.
How long have you been quote unquote cancer free?
So I just got my 5 years
Wow.
last
for you.
month.
Yay, 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so the trips to Mayo went from, every couple weeks to every couple months to a few times a year to twice a year to once a year to now I don't have to go anymore. So that's a blessing.
Yeah. Well, good you're here. We like that.
Thank you.
because,
I like being here.
Yeah.
We like you here.
Yeah.
So get
And-
your colonoscopy.
Yeah, I mean, all of this could have been avoided had I had a colonoscopy. But again, because of my age. at
Yeah.
the
You don't
time,
think
I
it.
was-
Yeah. You just.
I was younger,
Yeah.
you don't think it. But if I had listened to my body, and those are the days too when, no one ever wanted to call in sick for work.
No.
You just didn't do that. And,
Even when I was going through my treatment, I think I missed a day of work. I'd miss a day here and there. That would be it. And it was on chemo days, so chemo would run longer. So I'd be like, it's already 3. Do I bother to go back, or should I just go home and sleep?
No, if you go back because it's just the way it is. Like it's just the way life is.
And
I gotta
would.
work.
Right.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I
you
just gotta
gotta go
get
back
caught
to
up.
work.
Gotta get caught up on a couple things.
Right.
Yeah.
I've realized since my diagnosis in 2014, I don't give a shit about work. I'm taking care
I'm
of
really
me.
kind of at that point too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can
Well,
be done
it's-
tomorrow, or someone else will do it for me.
Right.
It's sad, but it's true. You don't think that until you have this life-changing event
Right.
that happens in your life.
And I guess too, another thing is, we've talked a lot about things to do to avoid cancer,
Mhm.
or figuring out when you have it, but when you're actually in the middle of it and going through it, and this is something that we just discussed, that we were working,
Yeah.
rest, take
Yeah.
care of yourself. That was one thing I can say when I was, because I obviously stayed at Mayo for all my treatments. I had my laptop with me, I worked, but it was, from the comfort of my bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I needed to rest, I was fortunate enough where I could rest. And I think that's the biggest thing is you're not being selfish.
Yeah.
You can't take care of anyone else until you take care of yourself. We hear that all the time, and it's true.
I find I struggle more with that. I struggle with it now still. I know I need to rest, but I don't because I'm fine. You know what I mean?
There's
Like,
always
I'm
something going
fine.
on. I have to
don't
do
have-
something. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have an event here on Thursday night, and then I have an event on Saturday night, and one is catering for 300 people and one is catering for 200 people. And so Saturday I'm going to give, or Sunday and probably Monday I'm going to give myself permission, but that's hard to do. I'm going to give myself permission to rest and relax a little bit, but I feel like I shouldn't be able to do that because I don't have cancer anymore. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I should be back to normal, but you're not back to normal.
No,
No.
because your body has been through hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just like fix itself overnight.
Yeah. When the cancer goes away, you don't just like, oh, everything's better now.
And one thing I heard one time, it wasn't about cancer, it was just about the body in general, but your body doesn't have walls. So just the part that was, supposed to be zapped and getting zapped isn't the only part that's affected.
Yeah.
Your whole body needs to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it doesn't ever happen completely at all.
Yeah. I read a study to try to make myself feel better, but it said that your body will not be back to normal for probably 7 years after treatment.
Yeah.
It takes about 7 years for your body to kind of be back to normal after you're done with everything.
I
after
believe
you're
that.
done. Yeah.
And you
at the same
might not be
time,
done with it.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
And at the same time, too, even if you are done with it, we're getting older.
Correct.
you
Who
know?
knows?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're 50, you're not going to have the same energy you had at 40.
So I asked my doctor, since I still take a daily chemo pill, I'm like, so if I still take a daily chemo pill for like the next 5 years and it takes 7 years after you're done with everything, does that mean I'm still not going to be back to normal for 12 years? He's like, yeah. Is it? Yeah, probably.
Do you go to the same doctor she did in Miami? That sounds like something he might say. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. He goes, you did the
Well-
math correctly. So I'm like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
so just give yourself grace. If you're going through it, and if you've been through it, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
It's okay to be tired. It's okay that you don't lift as much as you used to at the gym. It's okay if you want to stay home and not go out.
Yeah.
Give yourself the grace to do that.
Oh yeah,
It's-
Kristen and
it's
I used to
fine.
have some good times.
We used to
man.
tear it up. Back
Oh,
in the day.
this town will never be
Oh,
the same. And
shocking.
now I sleep on Friday.
Well, and it's
And
like one of our last guests, Kim, said, like, you're not superhuman. Just do your
Uh-uh.
thing, right? Like, just
Right.
yeah.
So now my idea of a crazy Friday night is like, oh my God, I went out to dinner before I laid on the couch.
Oh, my
Ooh,
idea
go
is
for
that,
dinner.
I did.
Red
I've
Beer
gone
and
out for
pizza.
dinner twice.
Red Beer and Pizza is crazy at our house
is
on a Friday
crazy.
night.
Yeah, right.
I'm usually in my pajamas at like 5:05.
Yep,
on
pretty
Friday
close.
nights.
Well, Kristen, thanks for joining us today on Cancer Convos. God
thanks
bless
for
you,
having
and
me.
good luck with everything the rest of the way. Cancer Convo is sponsored by Chelsea Smith Cosmetics and the Bismarck Cancer Center. Until next time, thanks for joining us.